All right, brothers. Acts chapter 7. We left off at verse 30. I'm going to do a little recap, not reading the whole 30, but just a little recap of what Stephen spoke about. And let me see. All right. One thing I wanted to mention is that Stephen is kind of expounding a lot on things that's not necessarily written or found in the book of Genesis as far as intent and things like that. One example I'm going to bring up is when he was talking about Moses in Acts chapter 7, and he started to tell the intent of why he killed the Egyptian, or one of the motives behind the reason for killing the Egyptian. That's located in where is that? That's located in Exodus chapter 7, verse 24 and 25. Sorry, Acts chapter 7, verse 24 and 25. Sorry about that. And it says, and seeing one of them suffer wrong, he defended and avenged them that was oppressed, and smote the Egyptian, because he supposed his brethren would have understood how Elohim by his hand would deliver them, but they did not understand. So when you look in the book of Exodus, you don't see that. You see Moshe seeing the situation happening, then him looking to the left, looking to the right, and then just taking this guy out. So here is giving us a little bit more insight in his mind. Right, so give me 1 second, guys. I got let me know if it's too loud. Is the background too loud? Baby crying? All right, so the first 30 verses, we have Stephen breaking down the whole purpose of getting Israel out of Egypt, the whole purpose of calling Abraham out of his old country, the country of the Chaldeans, Babylonian country. I'm famous today. So now we're starting right at that time of Moshe being in the wilderness from verse 30 for 40 years, being in the wilderness of Midian by Mount Sinai, and coming across the burning bush. One thing I want to mention again is, as we read Stephen's breakdown, I didn't read ahead, but I'm just saying, if there's something that's different that we've never heard before, I think we need to consider it highly, because right now he's filled with the Spirit and he's interpreting the Old Testament scriptures for us. So if he throws some stuff in there, some jewels in there, we need to apply that to our interpretation of the scripture as well. You know, let's not just say, oh yeah, Stephen said this, but I believe over here. Like, nah. Like, Stephen is being moved by the Ruach, so whatever he's interpreting, we need to consider that in our own interpretation as well. So let's start. Somebody want to read verse 31 to verse 40? 31 to 40, somebody, the 10 verses. All right, Nate, you can read the first 10. JP, you got the next 10. Brian, you didn't raise your beard or anything? You didn't raise anything? The eyebrow?
Yeah, I could. The next 10. I mean, the 10 after that, 10.
Brian will read the last 10. That's good. Now we're moving.
Yeah, that last part is my favorite part. Anyway, woo. When we get to that.
There you go.
So You said 30, right?
Yeah, verse 30 to verse. You could start from 30. You could go from 30 to verse 40.
Okay. And after 40 years were completed, a messenger of Yahuah appeared to him in a flame of fire in a bush in the wilderness of Mount Sinai. And Moshe, seeing it, marveled at the sight, and coming near to look, the voice of Yahuah came to him, saying, I am the Elohim of your fathers, the Elohim of Abraham, and the Elohim of Yitzhak, and the Elohim of Yaakov. And Moshe trembled and did not have the courage to look. But Yahuah said to him, take your sandals off your feet, for the place where you stand is Kodesh ground. I have certainly seen the evil treatment of my people who are in Mitzrayim, and I have heard their groaning and have come down to deliver them. And now come, let me send you to Mitzrayim. This Moshe, whom they had refused, saying, who made you a ruler and a judge? This one Elohim sent him to be a ruler and a deliverer by the hand of the messenger who appeared to him in the bush. This one led them out after he had done wonders and signs in the land of Mitzrayim, and in the Red Sea, and in the wilderness 40 years. This is the Moshe who said to the children of Israel, Yahuah your Elohim shall raise up for you a Nabi like me from your brothers. Him shall you hear. And this is he who was in the assembly of the wilderness with the messenger who spoke to him on Mount Sinai with the fathers who received the living words to give us. Unto whom our fathers would not become obedient, but thrust away, and in their hearts they turned back to Mitzrayim, saying to Aaron, make us mighty ones to go before us. For this Moshe who led us out of the land of Mitzrayim, we do not know what has become of him.
Yeah, all right. So, Brother Nate, there's a lot of good stuff in there. Is there something you want to pull out? Or you want to...
No, I'm not going to carry and I need to wait and go back and read it again.
Nah, I understand. Nah.
I need to read the King James when I'm reading. All these names and stuff I get used to.
Man, I understand, man. Let me let Brian. Brian, go ahead, brother.
Yeah, I was just looking at verse 35 there, and how they rejected Moshe. They said, "Who are you? Who made you like Lord over us, or whatever like that?" And it's like how Moshe is like, he's sort of like that, like the typified. He's typified as like the foreshadowing of Messiah, Mashiach, and how they rejected Mashiach at first. Well, not at first, but they continue to reject him actually. But yeah, they rejected Mashiach, and yeah, in Matthew 13, they talk about. I just pulled that real quick. These Matthew 13 was it? What verse was that? 13:55. Yeah, he's in the I think he's in Nazareth right now. It says they ask him, is not this the carpenter's son? Is not his mother called Mary, and his brethren James and Joe and Joseph and Simon and Judas and the sisters, are they not all with us? And so yeah, it's like that saying. And then Yahusha responds, a prophet is not without honor save in his own country and in his own house. And I think this was after, I don't know, I'm not sure what situation this was in, but yeah, it's a situation where he was in his own town and the people rejected him and he couldn't do no miracles, well, not that many miracles and things like that, but I just thought that was interesting that, the way they rejected Moshe is like, Messiah, Yahusha, is that same rejection you see in
Absolutely.
that. Yeah.
Absolutely. And I love the fact that they're using Moshe because Messiah used Moshe as the pinnacle. This is the top. Whatever you have going on has to be checked by Moshe. It's like nothing checks Moshe. Moshe checks everything. I think Isaiah says that too. Isaiah chapter 8, verse 20. It says, to the law, or to the Torah, and to the testimony, which is the prophets. So to the Torah and to the testimony, if any man does not speak according to this word, it is because there is no light in them. That's Isaiah chapter 8, verse 20. So it's good. It's interesting that the prophets made sure they understood Moshe is the pinnacle. He's the one that's telling everyone else, or everything has to be checked by what was presented by Moshe. So when he's bringing up the prophet in verse 37, it's like this is the one that Moshe told us to wait for. Where is it? Verse 37, that a prophet shall Yahuah Elohim raise up. But I like the fact that you brought up verse 35. I don't know if JP sees it in there. And you said that this was a type of Messiah setting things up, right? So we see it says Moshe was refused. By that statement, who made you a ruler and a judge? Remember that? That's what the guy said when he told them to stop fighting.
Mm-hmm.
Then it said the same Elohim made a ruler and a deliverer by the hand of the angel that was in the bush. The angel that was in the bush is the one that made him the deliverer. Question is, who was that angel in that bush to make him a deliverer? Who was that angel? How is the angel, by the hand of the angel, making him a deliverer?
Was that Exodus?
Oh, you going back to Exodus? There we go. Let's go to Exodus.
I just want to look at the Sefer to see if they put an olive top in there.
In the Exodus chapter 3, verse 2, right?
There's 3. Okay.
This is the first statement.
I was reading that same story in Luke and Marcus today too about.
Oh yeah.
Who is it? So I can just see them. That's why sometimes I read it down. I'm like, yeah, I can tell because it's like they had a little flavor because I can see them like, is he crazy? The Messiah coming out starting to preach the gospel, and he's like, is he crazy? That little boy. How you baby. That's just I can see it. That's why. That's just something I see it. I'm sorry.
No, definitely. So we see the angel of Yah in the bush. Yeah. And then sometimes it's interesting because we're like, oh, Yahuwah himself came. Yahuwah himself was there. Yahuwah himself. And we have to recognize nobody has seen Yahuwah at any time. At any time. So there's an established method in how Yahuwah communicates. And he always does it through this specific messenger. Now, there's other things that he does, but there's always this encounter that's equated to the encounter with Yahuwah. So it's like they come in contact with this angel, Exodus chapter 3, verse 2. It says, and the angel of Yah appeared unto him in a flame of fire out of the midst of the burning bush. And he looked, and behold, the bush burnt with fire, and the bush was not consumed. When you go down in verse 4, it says, and when Yahuwah saw that he turned aside to see, Elohim called him out from the midst of the bush. So someone is representing Yahuwah directly.
And there is, and not that I believe that every place there is an Alf Tav.
You see it? Is it there?
But it is there in verse. It is there in verse 3. And Moshe said, "I will now turn aside and see out of Tav this great sight." So that fits that he was turning to see the Messiah. Yeah, that's what it was.
Father, Son. So you see the angel in the bush, and then it goes straight into Yahuah, Elohim. It's now representing. This angel is a direct representation of who Yahuah is. Not only that, but it's speaking out of the bush. It's speaking and saying, "This is Yahuah." You know what I mean? So there's this representation where the word of Elohim it's speaking on behalf of his father. You cannot see his father directly. No one. Messiah has made that clear in John chapter 5. Let's see John chapter 5, and then we're gonna go back to Moshe to see what Moshe actually saw. John chapter 5. Let's see. John chapter 5, verse 37. This is red letters. This is the Messiah speaking. Messiah says, "And the Father himself have sent me, and have bore witness of me. And you have neither heard his voice at any time, nor seen his shape." You have not heard his voice at any time, nor seen his shape. Now watch this. John chapter 1, verse 18. Talks about the Messiah again. It says, "No man have seen Elohim at any time. The only begotten Son, which was in his bosom of the Father, he proclaimed or declared him." He's the one that proclaimed him. Right? Let's go back to Moshe. Now Moshe is talking to Yah, but if there's an angel in the midst of the bush that's representing Yahuah, and he's talking about this angel. Now look at what Yahuah tells Moshe. JP, let me know if I'm going too far. I'm getting too excited. So look at what Yahuah tells Israel in Exodus chapter 23.
7:30.
Look what he says in Exodus chapter 23. We're gonna start from verse 20. We're going to read verse 20 to 22. So Exodus 23, verse 20 to 22. It says, "Behold, I send an angel before you to keep you in the way." Who's the way? "To bring you into the place which I prepared." It sounds familiar? John 14, "I go to prepare a place." Verse 21, "Beware of him and obey his voice, and do not provoke him, because he will not pardon your transgressions, because my name is in him." And look at what verse 22 says. "But if you indeed obey his voice and do everything that I speak, then I will be an enemy unto your enemies and an adversary to your adversaries." Who is this angel that's supposed to keep them in the way?
Yeah, that. I'm bouncing back and forth on that one, brother. I know we're jumping here and there, but yeah, this is a good one.
All right, now stay with me. Stay with me. We're gonna go to Paul, and then we're gonna come right back to Moshe again. Because Moshe is the one that's going to show that he understood this already. Now, I'm not even going to say what he understood, but you guys know. Go to 1 Corinthians chapter 10. 1 Corinthians chapter 10, it talks about the children of Israel in the wilderness with Moshe. Chapter 10, 1 Corinthians verse 2. It says, and they were all baptized unto Moshe in the cloud and in the sea. In the cloud and in the sea. And did all eat the same spiritual food. And they all drank the same spiritual drink, because they drank of the spiritual rock that followed them. That rock was Messiah. But with many of them, Elohim was not well pleased, because they were overthrown in the wilderness. Now these things were for our example, to the intent that we should not desire after evil things, as we have desired. And then it talks about idolaters and fornicators. And then look what it says here. In verse 9 of 1 Corinthians chapter 10, it says, let us not tempt the Messiah, just like they have tempted and were destroyed by serpents. Let's not tempt Messiah, just like they have tempted and were destroyed by fiery serpents. When were they destroyed by fiery serpents? In the wilderness with Moshe, in the book of Numbers. Who were they tempting? They were tempting the Messiah that was with them. The Messiah was with them. Why? Because Yahuah said, I will send an angel to go before you to keep you in the way. And my name is in him. And you have to obey him. This is what he said about this messenger. Huh?
Yeah, this don't sound like Yahuah is talking about one of his days, man.
Say that one more time, Will.
He's talking about these sons. Yeah, no, it don't sound like he's talking about the angel Gabriel, one of them, man. It sounds like he's talking about his son.
Oh yeah. Now
that's a little too defined.
No, you're
that's
right.
That's a whole set of drums, man. That's a whole set of drums and a couple of tambourines, you know.
Oh yeah. And this is because we got to realize if they were listening to the gospel, they had to have this connection. They had to have this connection, this direct understanding connection with the Messiah, because the gospel was that he's gonna send the seed. He's gonna send his son. So his son was there, just like his son is here with us, and he's telling them that this is the example. They did this to tempt Messiah when he was there with them. Let's not do the same thing now. This is what Paul is connecting. Now, but
those are the precepts.
Say that again, Brother Will.
Those are it's a good example of precepts there, you know.
Oh, line upon line?
Well, it's right there, man. Them blending in, you know.
All right. Right. Now watch this. Let's go back to see if Moshe understood is Yahuah himself going to physically come down, or is someone that he can call on that represents Yahuah going to be with them?
I got something that supports you here.
Yeah, go ahead, brother.
I'm the definition, you know, because that's where I'm really going to out of this get back with, you know, what's his name? Worldwide. Into these, but Angelos, which we all know is Angelos is, you know, we all know that's angel, messenger, and Malak, which is the Hebrew. But the definition is one of the definitions is one who walks for another, as opposed to, you know. So for me, that makes sense that, you know, he, you know.
That's the word. That's the meaning of the word advocate.
Yeah.
One walks for another. Or
Well, it references that to him. It's Hebrew 43:97, Greek 32, but it's together. It's in the word.
Yeah. Now let's go back to Exodus so we can see Moshe understanding who this is. It makes more sense that Stephen is utilizing Abraham and Moshe to express to individuals about Messiah, about receiving Messiah, and he's bringing up other individuals of faith who had that experience. You see what I'm saying? So you can't just disconnect. Oh, he's over here experiencing Yahuwah directly, and now we're over here experiencing Messiah. No, they were always experiencing Messiah. Messiah has always been sent to lead them, to guide them. You know what I mean? So many people say, when Messiah said, not Messiah, Moses said, show me your glory, that they thought he was many think that he saw Yahuwah because it says Yahuwah. But I think that we ignore the fact that he has been talking to this angel this whole time, and that his desire was to allow this angel to lead him, or messenger to lead him. Let's go to Exodus 33. Exodus 33, verse 12, starting from verse 12. And it says, Moshe said unto Yahuwah, see that you say to me to bring up this people, and you have not let me know whom you will send with me. Yet you said that I know you by name, and that you have found grace, that I have found grace in thy sight. So what did he just ask for? Did he ask for Yahuwah directly? He asked for Yahuwah to show him something. The one whom Yahuwah was going to send with him. That's what Moshe asked for. You guys see that in verse 12? Or am I crazy?
No, it's there.
It reminds me of that verse where it says, the Lord said unto my Lord, sit down on my right hand.
Right.
I made your footstool. And,
right.
Yeah, it's in Matthew 7:22-44, but it's quoted from Psalms.
Right. But you see how what people do is they say that David was prophesying of something that didn't happen yet, when in actuality there were things happening between the Father and the Son already.
This is Exodus what? I'm sorry.
This is Exodus chapter 33, verse 12.
Sorry, I'm reading like 10 different versions trying to clarify.
Moshe understands that if Messiah is with him, then the Father is with him. Moshe is saying, you didn't let me know whom you was going to send with me. Then he says, verse 13, now therefore I pray you, if I found grace in your sight, show me now your way. Who's the way? Who's Yahuwah's way? That I may know you. He understood that if he understood this particular messenger, that he would know Yah. And it says that I may find grace in your sight. He also understood that grace would be found in this messenger as well. And consider that this nation is your people. And what does it say in verse 14? Does it say Yahuwah said, or does it say he said? It said he said, my presence will go again. Huh?
Exodus 30? I'm sorry, I'm lost. I apologize.
You may have to look at the video, man.
Yeah.
Exodus 33.
33. Okay, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Well, look at verse 12 and 13. 12 and 13 and 14. So he understands that this messenger is going to reveal the way, and it's going to reveal the grace of Yah to him. Not only that, but he knows that if this messenger is with him, that Yah is with him as well.
There we go.
So going back to Acts chapter 7, to me that verse 35 is very clear, where it says that Elohim made him a ruler and a deliverer by the hand of the angel that appeared in the bush. Everything that Yah does is by his son. Everything is by his son. It's through his son that Moses was given strength to be the leader. It was by his son that Moses was given strength to be the deliverer. It's by this messenger that even Moshe asked for. You see?
Yeah, in John 8:20. No, I'm sorry, John 8:56. Yahusha says, "Your father Abraham rejoiced to see my day, and he saw it and was glad." And so you see that way before Abraham saw, he saw that he was.
So no, Brian, that's great. That shows that even Messiah was in the mind of Abraham as well. Abraham was thinking about the coming Messiah. He understood the prophecies, and he waited for it. He was waiting for it to happen. You know? And I think that people don't grasp that. They don't grasp that. What they do is they associate Yahusha and say, "Oh, he's exactly the same as Yahuwah," instead of showing that he's waiting for this intercessor to come. He's been waiting for this prophet to come. He's been waiting for the Son of Yah to come, just like we are waiting for him to come. You know what I mean? There's this correlation. The reason why they're being brought up is so we can show what we're supposed to be waiting for, what we're engaged in. You know what I mean? To clarify. We're not going to see Yah directly. Messiah already told us nobody has ever seen him directly, but we are going to be in direct contact with his son, and his son will bring us into the promised land, just like Joshua, just like the prophets. You know, so that verse 35, man, Stephen is bringing him right to Messiah. He's bringing him right. Show him Messiah. Anybody else got anything they want to pull out from these verses, verse 30 to 40?
Yeah, I just wanted to talk about 33. I always find 33 amazing. You know, we I don't know. I've been contemplating on this thought about taking your shoes off. A lot of assemblies. I don't know. I feel like if that's your assembly, like for instance, we have a home assembly, a home fellowship. I feel like, you know, everybody in one accord, it becomes holy ground. So I mean, shouldn't we take our shoes off before we enter? You know what I'm saying? Before we come in the house. I was kind of in that mindset, like how that plays out, you know, because I feel like there's a difference between, well, I mean, not a difference, but there it seems like there is when it's, you know, me by myself and I'm always wearing those shoes, so it doesn't really show no difference. But if I go to an assembly, if that's something that should be considered. You know what I mean? So I just want to hear you guys' thoughts on that kind of understanding.
I noticed that whenever he said that, it was usually an intimate kind of one-on-one scenario. The children of Israel went into the temple all the time, you know. When the tabernacle congregation was there and he would come down in the smoke, Moshe would go in there, you know. I can imagine he would probably take off his shoe because it was only Moshe in there with him. And so I think it's different. Personal and collective is different. I think as a collective unit, and I always think this is why in my mind, worship is intimate. I can't get loud when it comes to worship, and I'm not connecting it to anyone else. It's because it's always personal to me. So I think that in regards to the shoes, I think it was something for Moshe. It's personal. What do you guys think?
Yeah, I think there is a difference, like a different level of it's like you go into that secret place of the Most High, and you're like on that 101. Like when you read the Gospels, you see Yahusha. Sometimes he went by himself into the wilderness, and it was just him and the Father just praying and things, but yeah, I do think there's a different level that you reach, like when you're it's just you and him, and you whatever you feel in your ruach at that point to do is you just go with it and things. And I know we discussed the whole thing of the praying, the ruach, and things like that. Those types of things. It's like the spirit just manifests in different ways for different people and stuff. So it's just I'll just leave it at that. So
Yeah.
It's
So yeah, I haven't thought about it like with shoes, but since I'm here by myself, obviously, but I don't feel I feel I need to be clothed. I don't know. I feel the opposite. I haven't thought about it with shoes because I guess I'm always have my shoes off at home. But if I have to like cover myself. I don't know if that's just guilt or conditioning or what it is. I haven't figured that part out yet, but I work on the same type of problem. It's like, should I or shouldn't I? What should I? I don't know. I'm conscious about it though. I mean, it's like if I'm bend to pray, it's like okay. I guess it's something there for me automatically.
Yeah, there was another instance with Joshua chapter 5, verse 15, where the captain of the host of Yah told him to loosen his shoes as well.
Right.
So, and to me is because he was engaging in this is, man, I believe that was Messiah as well, but he was engaging in a direct connection. Like, I think it was in a matter of reverence, or a matter of reverence, and I think this is how they showed that reverence for another person. I think a lot of times, me also, I'm guilty of not showing reverence for even the certain conversations that we get into about Messiah. You know what I mean? We had a conversation the other day about his death, right? His death on the resurrection. And we got caught up with the stake in the tree foolishness, and I felt bad about the lightness of a conversation concerning the death of Messiah. So, I was repentant to Yah privately about it because I'm not sure how he's making everyone else feel, and I don't want to make anyone feel falsely convicted because of my convictions.
Right.
So yeah, I think there's this personal dynamic that he's engaging in with Joshua and with Messiah, Moses as well. But I don't see that anywhere else. I see in the temple, I see people prostrating themselves and different people doing different things. So I wouldn't know whether or not it should be a rule, but I'm pretty sure if Yah sends his messenger to you and he tells you to take off your shoes, that'll probably be those times to do it, because I don't see any command to do it any other time besides when he's actually there present with you. But then he's present with you. I think that's what JP is saying. But then he is present with us. So JP, man, why are you doing this to us, man?
Well, that's all, and that's kind of the mindset I was trying to go to. Like, I was like, when you go to the market or you go to, another family's house for an occasion or whatever, you're not going there for this. But on Shabbat, especially, I'm getting together with other families, and it's for fellowship to worship the whole day. We're not stopping. You know what I'm saying? Even though we're eating, I'm still talking about them. I still got scriptures going in my mind, So that's why I was like saying it that way, because I was like, man, I'm not going to bring up other cultures or religions because I see other religions do it. And I was like, man, sometimes I do compare though with the other religions, because I like other religions, not saying that we're in a religion, just that, you know what I mean? But they give that reverence. You know what I'm saying? They give that reverence, even though that it's like a false deity, but they still give reverence. And I'm like, man, they're kind of showing me out. You know what I'm saying? Like, and that's what I was kind of feeling like. And I was kind of like, so it's been a couple, about a week, and I was like just pondering on it, just like, man, I ain't trying to, am I doing, not saying that like you said, it's not commanded, but that doesn't mean that I have to look at it. If it's coming into my heart, I got to look at it. So I just wanted to bring it up because that's how I was feeling. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And we just came across this verse, so I was like, it's even perfect timing right now.
Right. I think reverence is more than just a display. And I think that's, when I look at other religions, I see a display. I don't see reverence. I don't see reverence, because reverence is I think it's a way of thinking. It's a way of you have to be reverent. Like you can't just do a reverent thing. You don't do reverence. You have to be reverent. You have to be that. And anybody could come put a carpet down and bow down. Anybody could do those things, be in a ritualistic sense. You go to the Catholic Church. You go people going there quiet all day long. What are they thinking? What are you doing? What are you looking at? You looking at idols? Like, what are you reverence towards? What are you showing respect and honor towards physically? Because once you leave that building, you going crazy. You see what I'm saying? So it's kind of like, to me, I look at all those things, and to me, the fruit of the Ruach is what allows us to be reverenced. The self-control, the peace, the joy helps us to be reverent. The love helps us to be reverent. I don't think reverence can work outside of the fruit of the Ruach. You know what I mean? So bowing down and stuff, you can be a evil person and you could bow down on the mat towards the east, all you want, or raise your hands like this towards the mountains.
Right.
So that's also something to consider as well about reverence itself. You don't want to give, because sometimes we can give ourselves false convictions based off of perception of something that needs to be done. But we got to ask ourselves, did Yah say, I want my people to do this? Because we can start making a lot of rules and say, this is only for me, this is only for me. But how much rules are you going to have for yourself? That I would say, make sure there's rules that Yah is making for you. Because, you're going to make this rule for you, and then your children's going to have to to engage in it, and then your wife, and then it's never just for you.
Yeah.
It's never just for you. You know, whatever Yah gives us is for everybody around us. You know, if Yah tells me to be reverent about something, it's not something that he's not going to tell you to be reverent. We may show it differently, but it's going to be the same command from the same God. You know.
Yeah.
All right. So who is next? Nate, you read first. Oh, JP, you next. You next.
All right.
You next.
Starting in verse 40, right?
Verse. You could go from 40 to 50.
All right. Says, saying unto Aaron, make us mighty ones to go before us. Whereas for this Moses, which brought us out of the land of Egypt, we wot not what is become of him. And they made a calf in those days, and offered sacrifice unto the idol, and rejoiced in the works of their own hands. Then Elohim turned and gave them up to worship the host of heaven, as it is written in the book of the prophets. O you house of Israel, have you offered to me slain beasts and sacrifices by the space of 40 years in the wilderness? Yea, ye took up the tabernacle of Moloch and the star of your mighty one Rephan, figures which ye made to worship them, and I will carry you away beyond Babylon. Our fathers had the tabernacle of witness in the wilderness, as he had appointed, speaking unto Moses, that he should make it according to the fashion that he had seen, which also our fathers that came after brought in with Joshua into the possession of the Gentiles, whom Elohim drave out before the face of our fathers unto the days of David, who found favor before Elohim, and desired to find a tabernacle for the Elohim of Jacob. But Solomon built him an house. Howbeit, the Most High dwelled not in the temples made with hands, as saith the prophet. Heaven is my throne, and earth is my footstool. What house will you build me, saith Yahuah? Or what is the place of my rest? Have not my hand made all these things?
What do you get? What you got, JP? You gonna? What you got?
Oh, I always think about the I always think about why did they make a calf? You know, every time I come across this, you know, I was like, it was a calf, and it was a baby calf at that. You know, it seemed like it was like weird. I was like, what does this mean? You know what I'm saying? I was like, who chose this? Like, and it's my mind runs on that. Like, and I know I don't really have an answer, but maybe historically there's something there that I'm not seeing.
Right there, that's the answer in verse 43. Molech is the bull god with the sun disk on his head. That's the calf god.
So did they just take it from Egypt?
Well, every pagan nation worshipped the same gods in a different way. It wasn't only Egypt, you know, just like right there where it said they also worshiped the star of Remphan, you know, and he allowed them, he gave them over to worship the things in the sky. So we see that the Molech, even though he's a calf, this is the sun god. This is the sun god that they're worshiping, because he's telling them, he told them he gave them up to where does it say? Yeah, verse 42, where it says Elohim turned and gave them up to worship the host of the sky, of the heaven. Talking about the sun, moon, and stars.
Yeah.
You know, so every pagan nation worshiped the sun. I know everybody's starting to change that around, saying that they worship the moon and all, trying to get us away from the moon. But the greatest power that every country, every pagan nation served was the sun. Molech is the sun god. You know, Ra is a sun god. He's a son of the sun god. You know, Nimrod was a sun god. Like there was no god more powerful than the sun in the eyes of the pagans. The moon wasn't more powerful than the sun. The stars wasn't more powerful than the sun. They were other deities. Those were other deities that they worshipped in their pagan practices. You know, so Molech is the calf.
That's pretty amazing. You know, just sitting here thinking about what you're saying there, Johnny. You know, you go so many years not knowing what that sun is behind the saints. Growing up, you know, going to all these churches. I remember going there, you know, with Abuela and just being lugged all over the place. And then when you get older, it's like, you know, I just found out about that sun here within the last year and a half. And I'm almost 53 years old. And it's a shame.
Oh, yeah.
It's a shame.
I
just cannot believe that.
Yeah, brother. And I mean, and I'm glad that you mentioned it, because it's the same, you know, people, they started saying it's a halo or a halo. It's not a halo. It's the sun. It's the sun behind their head with the rays. The rays actually represents fertility as well. Male fertility. But the sun was the main issue of worship was the sun god and Catholicism at that time. So when they merged together,
Who started this? Constantine, or was it before him?
That was way before Constantine. Constantine is like Rome. Rome came after. It was Babylon. This is the first kingdom. Nimrod, we have scriptures on it. Nimrod, he died. When Nimrod died, they said that he went to the sun. In their pagan history teaches that Nimrod went to the sun, and that his son Tammuz was the son of the sun god. So when the sun, and it's also the sun god, is the Philistines worship the god called Dagon, right, which is a fish god. Now what happens is when the sun would set, they believed that it went into the water and turned into a fish.
I'm laughing because it's so stupid.
And this is what nations believe, like kings. And it turned into a fish, and the fish would fight off monsters, and then every time it rose, it means that it had victory over the underworld monsters. So every culture adopted, especially since Babylon is where those tongues were confused. Remember, the tongues were confused in Babylon. So everybody took this religion and made it the same exact religion in all these other nations. That's why when some people be like, "Oh, these nations are way before Christianity," and all these yeah, maybe they are way before Christianity, but these are Babylonian practices. And when he changed the languages, they brought that Babylonian language practice into every language. So everybody has a different form of the same God. You know what I mean?
It's interesting that you hear them sometimes say, like, even in the evangelical community now, they're all starting to say, "Oh, we all worship the same God." And you look at the Pope. And he wears the fish mitre.
Yep.
Covering. It's a fish head with his mouth open.
It's a Chaldean priest.
That's what his hat is. It's a fish head. It's so.
It's crazy. It's a Chaldean priest outfit that he has on.
Yeah. When they tell me that, I'm like, I don't remember reading when Yahusha read a fish hat.
Or Peter, because that's who the Pope is. The Pope is Peter's successor. Which one is that one? The Madonna? Yeah, the Madonna.
Tammuz. This is that's why we know it's the same. Yeah, one is Madonna, one is Tammuz. It's the same.
Yeah,
it's
the same.
That's how we know it's the same God. Because it's the same stuff. That's the same sun disk.
Yep. Oh, I see it. Oh, wow. Yeah, 1 second, baby.
And this is Tammuz. It says
Tammuz and his mother. All those pictures of the woman and the child in all these different cultures is Semiramis. Her name is Semiramis.
And Tammuz.
And Tammuz. Now Nimrod's wife is Semiramis. Nimrod's wife supposedly came from the moon. So the moon was always the feminine version of the sun. The sun and the moon were always the male and the female. So Nimrod was the sun god, and Semiramis came from the moon in a moon egg. The what is it called? The story of the nation goes where she came down in a moon egg. Now Nimrod died before Tammuz was conceived, by the way. Nimrod died. So when she was doing whatever she was doing, she got pregnant, and she said that the sun god came down and impregnated her. And
So that's wild, man. I read that, yeah.
So this is how Tammuz became famous, because now Tammuz is a hunter. His favorite thing was to hunt rabbits. That was his hunter. And one day he was hunting a wild boar, and he got killed by a wild boar, which is why they have the Yuletide ham. The Yuletide ham is is in honor of Tammuz hunting the wild boar that they killed. His blood supposedly spilt on a stump, and it grew into an evergreen tree to represent his everlasting life. So now you have the evergreen tree during Christmas, during the winter solstice. You have the Yule log that they usually cut and throw into the fire, wrapped around Hollywood. It's actually wood called holly, which is what it's a witchcraft thing. I know this because my mom went from Catholic to just straight Wiccan, so I know the reason behind stuff. Like my mom does stuff because of the actual real reason why, because of the spirits in the moon. When it's a full moon, my mom, don't go on my Facebook. You'll see my mom's stuff, and she be talking to me, and I, hey mom.
But it's the same. That's what you can tell, because they just merged, right?
Yeah.
And with all these pagans, it's just together. Right. No matter where the Catholic Church goes,
they just merge it together.
Retain their same stuff because it's the same Nimrod, and it's the same people.
Because it's the same. It's the same politics. It's the same politics. Mm-hmm. The politics is that the more I have control over the people, is the more that the people is with me, is the more I have more control. So how do I gain the people? They're not. I'm talking about pagans were dying for their beliefs. So it's like, So it's like, it's kind of like how it is in scripture. Like when you see a witch, like it wasn't like they were repentant. Like no, like they were a witch all the way till they were killed. You know what I mean? Like they were not. People weren't repenting once they found out. They were not accepted. So what they did was they said in order to make a political statement and become more stronger as a nation, they had to incorporate the pagan practices into the Roman Church. And Constantine, what he did, he didn't really do anything. What he did was he called the Council of Nicaea together. And he started to make laws based off of what the Roman Church was actually perpetuating. Like Easter became a law. And it started to overshadow Passover. Easter became a law before he made a Sunday law to overshadow the Shabbat, because they started to command everybody to fast on the Shabbat and to celebrate Sunday. So they started to command people to do stuff like that. And if you didn't do that, you was looked at If the Roman church looked at you a certain way, everybody looked at you that way.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? So
I heard that they even got persecuted. So believers of the way, that wanted to, not that I heard, I read that they, followers of Yahuah were even persecuted when they refused to incorporate Sunday worship.
absolutely.
Shabbat and Sunday worship.
Yeah. What Constantine did was he started to elevate the problem. He said at first you would get fined, and then you would be thrown in jail, and then it was brought to death. So politically, you can't just do that death right away. So it's kind of like it was a smart move politically to transition everybody away from the true elements and to bring them into this pagan form of what they would call Christianity. So
It reminds me of Daniel 7, where he talks about the Antichrist will change the appointed times and the.
Yeah, that was Rome. That's Daniel 7 is literally talking about that time with the Roman Church and Constantine. Throughout, well, not only Constantine, but the history of the Roman Empire is in Daniel 7. So when we're looking at Moshe, he's bringing the fact that Moshe went up into the mountain. And they said that they didn't know where he went. This is what you just read. They didn't know where he went, so they built these golden calves. And if we go to Exodus, they named the golden calf Yahuah. Let's go to that. They named the
Why would they do that? Why would they do that? Just wrap up my mind.
It's just like what they're doing now.
Seeing the miracles and things that are happening, and yet I just can't fathom actually living that out, seeing the wonders and the miracles and the things happening, and still straying away like that. It just doesn't.
Yeah, I mean, that's why
the heart wasn't long. I'm sorry.
The matter of the heart is an extremely strong one. If we can say anything we want to say, if the heart is not grounded, we will do the same thing. You know what I mean? So I will say the same thing, Will. I have no idea. But put me in a situation, y'all will see if my heart is there with him. And this is why he does things little by little. He builds us up little by little because he knows that there's going to be a moment in which he will test that loyalty. He will test our loyalty. So we will be in that much stress as they were. So we have to build that faith, that trust. We need to rely on him. So
they weren't quite there yet. That was the problem.
They were not.
They weren't quite there.
They were not there, but they were pursuing. Like, look at this, right? Exodus 32. Now, remember, all of these things were written for our example, so they're not far-fetched from what people are doing today. We don't see the private demonstrations of faith or lack of that each of us is going through daily. Like, we need to realize that privately, each one of us has to demonstrate faith on private matters. So we don't see each other on a daily basis exercising our faith, standing strong and trusting in Yah. We don't see that with one another. So we know that each one of us is going through stuff every single day. And that's why only we know if we've been either completely trusting in Yah or trusting in our own ability, trusting in our demonstration of what faith is, Like, Yah can only do this for me if I have this already done. Like, no, that's not how it works. Yah don't need you to do anything. No glory goes to you. You can't. Yah does things where you can't boast about nothing you did. Oh yeah, I read the Bible every single day. Like, no. Yah gives understanding. If you got understanding, it's not because you read every day. is because the Ruach gave you understanding. You know what I mean? So there's things in our lives where we're like, okay, Yah can only provide for us unless we have a job. If I don't have a job, Yah can't provide for me. Like, this is the reality that's in the mind. This is the reality, you know. You know, I trust in Yah, but Yah only helps those that helps themselves. No. If we could help ourselves, we wouldn't need Yah. You know, so there's a lot of things that's in our minds that we need to cleanse, that we don't even know we're not even trusting in him fully. If we were trusting in him fully, we would be healing people already. You know what I mean? So, yeah.
Feeding off of what you're saying there, you know, it really, for me, it really comes down to it's just simple where a 3-year-old can understand it. If Yah did not provide the breath for me to be able to get off this bed this morning, I would not be able to assume my fatherly and husbandly and, you know, my duties throughout the day to accomplish the things that are being done.
Right.
Just for the essence of, if he would never have given me life for that next day, none of that will be anything.
Right. It grows from there. I like that you say that, because that's where we need to be. We need to be in that humble mindset. Every single thing is a blessing. Every single thing is something to thank him for, because if it wasn't for something that he didn't give, that he gave us, we would not be able to accomplish exactly what you say, Will. And it's going to become more. It's going to become more exercising. There's going to be times where even if we can get up, it won't accomplish the things that we need, because Yah wants to do it himself. You know, this is Red Sea stuff. Like they were able to walk to the Red Sea, but they were not able to do nothing else after that. So there's going to be moments in our life where whatever we are able to do, we're going to do that. But then there's going to come to the point of the Red Sea where there's nothing that you can do, but you still need to trust that Yah will do it for you. That's what they were falling on. That's what they were messing up on. That complete trust. They were in the wilderness already. They couldn't work. They were walking in the desert. Yah knew that. He had to give them manna. He had to give them manna every day because he knew they could not farm. You see what I'm saying? So there has to be these moments that we exercise faith at the point of, even though I'm utilizing everything that Yah blessed me with, there's still something that only Yah wants to do for me that I have to trust him on, that I cannot touch, because I need to end up giving him the glory for that too. You see what I'm saying? So I believe that's what Messiah exercised, especially during his ministry. You know, that complete desire for Yah to manifest his power only in his life. You know, but the verse I'm talking about is Exodus chapter 32, verse 4 and 5, verse 3, 4, and 5. So he talks about the golden calf, right? So they start breaking off their earrings and all that. So Aaron said to them, break off your earrings, which are in your ears of your wives, your sons, your daughters, and bring it to me. All the people broke off the golden earrings that were in their ears, and they brought it to Aaron, and he received at their hand, and he fashioned it with the graving tool after he had made the golden calf. And he said, these be your gods of Israel, which brought you out of the land of Egypt. And when Aaron saw it, he built an altar in front of it, and Aaron made a proclamation and said, tomorrow is the feast to Yahuah. They're making a feast and offering to the golden calf, and he said that this is to Yahuah.
So do you think they were trying to worship someone else, or they just needed some symbol of who Yahuwah is to strengthen their belief?
Same thing.
Yeah, well,
they
I mean,
need
their
they
heart.
needed
I
to
know it's
worship
wrong, but
someone
like your
else.
heart.
They needed to worship something else because their faith was so weak. Because of the weakness of their faith, they needed to worship something that they saw, something that they had. You see what I'm saying? Now they already know that it was Yah that did it because Moshe told them that. So what they did is they could not wait for Moshe. They made these golden calves and they said, let's have a feast to Yah.
Well, I mean, like, you know, we're talking about the Catholic Church. I mean, they have communion, so they think they're representing something similar to the Passover. But I mean, some of them, you know, but maybe it is the same thing.
I mean, it's not. It's in reality. We know that in reality, they're not actually having a feast to Yah. They're having it to these golden calf. But we know that they're saying that by demonstrating this worship to this calf, they are making a feast to Yah. So it's just like what we were talking about with the Roman Church, where they took these sun god imagery and they said, hey, we're gonna honor Messiah. They took Easter and they said, yeah, this is the resurrection of Messiah. They took all the pagan emblems and all the pagan traditions and the pagan beliefs and they changed the name and said, Jesus.
Yeah. No, I mean, like, well, that's the leaders. But like, if I'm just a pagan in, you know, in the middle of Germany somewhere, and the church is coming, and this is what it is, you know, I'm not excusing it in any way. I'm just saying,
yeah,
you're just following your heart. Like, but then I'm saying that because like the people, Iran, and you know, the people that followed them, I think they did it too, but then they were genuine, saying, oh yeah, we kind of screwed up them, you know, because they were able to see.
Not in that scenario. I understand this. The scenario that you were, I agree. I think that when people approach it not knowing, I think that they're ignorant to the situation. In the scripture, these people were telling Aaron to do it. They were telling him to do it. And he was like...
So you think it was everybody and not just the leaders?
Yeah, it wasn't... well, let me not say that it wasn't just the leaders.
Because, I mean, the elders of my tribe is saying, give me the gold because we're going to do this. I'm like, okay, here you go.
Yeah, it was Phineas. I could just bring up Phineas coming through like, nah,
yeah.
I'm stopping this right here. I see
Moses
is here. Aaron is here. Joshua is here. Nobody's doing nothing. I'm Phineas. Let me get this javelin. I'm stopping this right here. You see what I'm saying? It's not like everybody had to do it.
That makes okay.
They're choosing to switch their belief or to switch their trust in something else. And
it's crazy. Like after that happens in Exodus 32, in verse 19, it says, and it came to pass as soon as he came nigh into the camp that he saw the calf and the dancing, and Moses' anger waxed hot, and he cast the tables out of his hands, and he brake them beneath the mount, and he took the calf which they had made and burnt it in the fire, and ground it to powder, and strawed it upon the water, and made the children of Israel drink of it. Like, that was like, I mean, just thinking about, I mean, I don't know, I'm trying to get in the mindset of like, wow, like, he just came and had them drink, you know, like, just like, this is a punishment. You know what I'm saying? It's like punishment right here. And I was just trying to relate it into a modern time, you know, like, man, like, you know, just thinking of Moses as being a type also and things like that. And, you know, when the children of Israel today stray off, you know what I'm saying? And I think you kind of get left to your own mentality, you know what I'm saying? Like the people of today, you know, and I kind of related to what it just said right here, but it was like, you want it? Here, eat it. You know what I'm saying? It was like that kind of mentality, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. Also, like, in my mind, I usually associate Moshe with doing things that's somewhat inspired by Yah, especially if it's written in a certain way. We know that Yah dropped the plagues on Egypt, right? He dropped the plagues on Egypt, and a lot of information reveals that there were actually 10 gods in Egypt, right? And those 10 gods were literally being destroyed by Yah during each plague. I feel like Moshe was doing the same thing. Like, he's like, does God consume man, or does man consume God? He broke up this thing, told him to drink it, and was like, whose side are you on? Like, you just consumed your God. Like, there's no God here anymore. It's in your stomach. Now, are you on Yah's side or are you not? You know, I don't know. In my head, I'm always thinking that there's a lesson behind certain actions in scripture. And when I see that, I'm like, okay, he wanted them to see something also. Like, you're consuming your own God. You know, I think in Jeremiah.
What was that?
Say that again,
Go
bro?
ahead, Daddy.
No, go ahead, brother.
What is that powder? What was that powder? I missed that.
It was the calf.
The powder was made out of what?
Gold.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it says he burned. It says that he took the calf which they had made in verse 20 out of Exodus 32, and he burned it in the fire and ground it to powder, and strawed it upon the water, and made the children of Israel drink of it.
So it was a mixture of, like, I don't know, maybe when he was grounding into the ground, he probably mixed it with
Dirt,
dust,
ashes, and
whatever and they were
Yeah, now we know. Next time we go to eat chocolate that's covered, with gold, we'll be all right.
so
You guys got to expect that from me every now and then.
So we see, it's interesting because when you're looking at Exodus, you don't see what we just read in these verses. Verse 43 of Acts 7, they took up the tabernacle of Molech, the star of the Elohim of Ramphan, the figures which you made to worship them and to carry you away to Babylon. You see what I'm saying? It's like you see in all the things that they've developed. You know what I mean? Now we're going from Moshe all the way to the time in the wilderness, all the way to the time of David, to the time of Solomon when he built the house. And then he just says clearly in verse 48 of Acts chapter 7, howbeit the Most High dwells not in temples made with man's hands, saith the prophet. Heaven is my throne, earth is my footstool. What house will you build me? Saith Yah. What place of my rest? Like, what are you going to make for me? Like, you really think that you need to make something for me? If you notice, they kept desiring to make it for him. So think about this section here in our minds with all these ideas right now going about another temple that needs to be built for some reason. Is it for Yah?
no.
It was never for Yah. Even Solomon said in the Chronicles, he said, like, I know that the heavens and the heavens and heavens cannot contain you. How much less this house? This house is only for burnt offerings, he said. He said, when we pray towards this house, look at us from your dwelling place in the Shamayim. You see what I'm saying? So these people understood. We're not playing no games building these houses, church and temples and cathedrals and all of these things for Yah to like be in there. That doesn't make sense.
The lesson for me out of this particular thing we're talking about here is, I envision these little clips throughout scripture. For example, you were talking about Babel earlier. When these people tried to build Babel, the tower, and they kept going. That's another prime example of Yahuwah's wrath of what happened, the aftermath, how he corrected them, where he scattered them all over the world. I mean, that was like, are you kidding? I'm not asking you to do this. What I asked to do, you should do. What I'm not asking you to do, why do you do? You go out of your way to do it.
Right. Right.
Right?
No, it's true. It's true. You do these things that I don't ask you to do, and then you say it's for me. And then the stuff that I tell you to do, you don't do. And you say that, and then you say I shouldn't punish, or you see what I'm saying? Like,
interesting. You brought up the temple here. This last year, and they were doing sacrifices and all this other stuff. Man, I mean, I was floored when I saw that, and heartbroken at the same time.
You mean in Israel, where they built the temple on Hanukkah? Yeah, where they did the feast of dedication. Well, Hanukkah was originally a feast on the dedicating of the temple, and they want to offer sacrifices when we already have the Messiahs as our sacrifice. You know what I mean? What is this going to reveal in the future? Like, this is
out of line. It's out of order.
Right.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but what I remember when it comes to the temple into the future, there's a time for that. It's not now. It's when all the prophecies, things come to life, and then later on,
right,
these things are going to happen. We don't take it upon ourselves to push these things to happen. Now we got to wait when he starts to actually unfold his thing.
Right. I agree. I mean, this is like the one. This is going to be the first. This is going to be another time where Stephen is making it a point to say, like, why are we making temples made with man's hands? To bring us out of the temple. What were they doing to the temple? They were worshiping the temple. Everything was the temple. We got to go to the temple. Even now, when you tell somebody you keep the Shabbat or you keep the feast, what do they tell you? Oh, you're going to go to Jerusalem to the temple? Like, no, nobody needs to go there. Nobody needs to go there. So it's kind of like nothing is connected to the temple. Even when they made it, they said that it is not going to hold. It's not going to hold Yah. It's not going to hold them there. But
I had someone throw at me the other day, well, how come you're not stoning people? And I prayed on that because I really needed an answer for this person, man. And this is what in my heart laid heavy, which is a simple verse. Thou that is free of sin, cast the first stone.
Amen.
Right. Or I would ask, hey, like, you should be happy I'm not stoning right now, right? Like, why are you worried about something that you probably gonna be stoned if it's there?
Like an example. It's like, you were mentioning a few minutes ago how you yourself take every line, and I'm learning to do this more and more. There is a lesson. I can't go past 2 or 3 letters or words, because I may miss something. I mean, even in that example right there, I always, you think about it. I mean, it's very clear. He's saying, who is free of sin, cast the first stones, and they turn around and left, whatever. So, but with this incident here, somebody say, well, how come you're not stoning? It's like that example covers just more than what he was correcting at the moment.
Right.
It's something we could transpose into our lives when people actually start to try to debunk or belittle Torah.
Absolutely.
And and these are examples that are very simple to answer. If we're learning.
Yeah.
We have the Ruach with us, and but for a minute there, I was like, why aren't we stoning? Oh, because we're not there? No. That can't be it. So I prayed on it. I said, you know what? There's a verse that says that he said, who is free of sin cast the first stone. And that was my answer to this person. They had nothing to say about that. I heard nothing else.
That could be, that's an excellent explanation. You can also say, because the Messiah was free from sin, he's the only one that can judge, or not judge, but he's the only one that can condemn. You see what I'm saying? We can judge, we can't condemn. He's the only one that can condemn because he's the only one without sin. Him and of course his Father. But even in Acts 17, it says that the Father is going to judge by this man, Yahusha the Messiah, that he raised from the dead. So, Brian, you got the last 10 verses for us.
Neil, I was getting ready to say, to answer that question, you go to Isaiah 53:5. He was wounded for our transgressions. He was bruised for our iniquities. The chastisement of our peace was upon him. By his stripes, we were healed. That's why we don't stone people today. He took all the pain and all the agony and all the punishment we should have got, and he fulfilled the law through his sacrifice. And in him we live and move and have our being. That is Yahusha. His sacrifice is why we don't get stoned today. Because I'll be the first one. I said, you want to stone somebody? Stone me, because I deserve to be stoned. But through his shed blood and through his sacrifice, I can live in him and move in him and have ability to proclaim his words. So,
right, absolutely.
That Brian, that's the answer to a lot of things, brother. I agree with you 100%, man.
yeah.
I mean, the fact that he died on either the stake or the cross, I'm not sure where I feel on that yet, but where I'm at, that right there just covers so much, man, so much.
Absolutely. He died. That's the point, is that he raised from the dead. The death is one point, but the point that we proclaim is that he rose from the dead. So the stake, tree, the cross, you decide what interpretation that is. All I know is that he rose from the dead, and he's with me now. I don't have to keep talking about when he was dying. I can talk about how he's living in me. Go ahead, Brian.
All right, we at verse 40.
Nah, verse 50.
I'm sorry.
Last 10 verses.
Oh, okay. All right, Acts 7, verse 50. Have not my hand made all these things? Ye afflicted and uncircumcised in heart and ears. Ye do always resist the Ruach HaKodesh, as your fathers did, so do ye. Which of the prophets have not your fathers persecuted? And they have slain them which showed before of the coming of the just one, of whom ye have been now the betrayers and murderers, who have received the law by the disposition of angels, and have not kept it. When they heard these things, they were cut to the heart, and they gnashed on him with their teeth. But he, being full of the Ruach HaKodesh, looked up steadfastly into heaven, and saw the glory of Yah, and Yahusha standing on the right hand of Elohim, and said, Behold, I see the Shamayim open, and the Son of Man standing on the right hand of Elohim. Then they cried out with a loud voice and stopped their ears, and ran upon him with one accord, and cast him out of the city, and stoned him. And the witnesses laid down their clothes at a young man's feet, whose name was Shaul. And they stoned Stephen, calling upon Yah and saying, Mashiach, And they stoned Stephen, calling upon Yah and saying, Yahusha, receive my Ruach. and he kneeled down and cried with a loud voice, Master, lay not this sin to their charge. And when he had said this, he fell asleep. Wow. Yeah, that's just, the Ruach is amazing. It's like in that moment, in that moment where he is prophesying, he just prophesied and he just spoke the truth in the Ruach to these demon-possessed people that are of their father, the devil. Just like Yahusha told them in Matthew 23, you are of your father. He told the Pharisees, you are of your father, the devil. And he said the exact same words. It's like, which one of the prophets did you not kill? And the thing about it is so beautiful that the truth, it's like when someone speaks the truth to you like he just did, it's either going to bring you to repentance, or you're going to do what they did. It's going to manifest that wickedness that's in your heart. When you are confronted with that truth, it's going to manifest what's in your heart. And by us, just like by us being here, we all came into this world under the, like Yahusha said, under the doctrines of demons and lies and stuff. But he revealed himself to us, and we responded to his truth. And it's only by his Ruach that he revealed his truth to us, not by our human wisdom. Right? It's only by his spirit. And I just thank Yah. It's just an inspiration to see, to see Stephen there, they're full of the Ruach, giving him the strength to endure until the end. And that's like, to have that, to know him and to have that Ruach there. I was just thinking about, while y'all was talking earlier, I was just thinking about how, like, Shiach said, many will say, I am Christ, and will deceive many. And that's what we have throughout history. We tried to, mankind, through under the influence of Hasatan, tried to worship Yah in their own evil ways and try to put his name on it. Like the Catholic Church tried to change all this stuff and put Yahusha's name on it, saying, "Oh, this is Christ." But it was deception and everything. And to come out of that, and for Stephen to confront these people like that, this establishment, and it's just awesome. I'm just like, I always say, this is my favorite portion of this chapter. You just see Yahuwah glorified, and Hasatan just fully exposed. He can't handle it. And just imagine these people are like, they're so demon possessed that they're gnashing him with their teeth. They're like, ah, and stuff. It's like, man, these people are sick. And I'm just like, wow. I'll leave it at that.
Well, that was a little Walking Dead kind of action. That was pretty good, man. But the part, and I don't watch The Walking Dead, I was just joking, but the part that touched me the most about what you just read, Brian, about the way Stephen, his last moment there, did he ask Yah to forgive them of what they were doing? Somewhere along the lines there. Reminds me of him mimicking Yahusha on the cross. Father, forgive them. They know not what they do. So he kind of exited the same way that Yahusha.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And they even took them outside the city, just like Yahusha. They took them outside of the city and did that. Yeah, it's like the same. Yeah, like you saying, Will, it's the same. Yeah, it's like the same protocols they're following.
So you see, like, it's like the only thing that he needed in order to die, was to see what you was dying for, right? you know, and I know that's not everybody, you know, John the Baptist, he didn't have that. But to see like verse 55, right? Verse 54, man, I'm trying to, this is just so sobering again. Verse 54,
Yeah, it sure is.
when they heard
I
these
just
things,
got my. I'm sorry, guys. I just got my tablet turned on, and I'm trying to catch up. Where are we right now?
Acts chapter 7, and we're just going to start from verse 54. It says, when they heard these things, they were cut to the heart. That means that they were convicted. But how they responded, that they gnashed on them with their teeth. And then look at what's happening, right? They're dragging him out. They're biting him. Like, and you know what he's being, you know, what's happening to him? He's being filled with the Ruach. At that moment, it says, but he being full of the full. It didn't say measure. It didn't say, you know, filled. It didn't say filled. It said he was full of it. Like it was in him. And he looked up into the Shamayim and he saw the glory of Elohim and the Messiah standing at his right hand. And he said, look, like, behold, I see the heavens open and the Son of Man standing on the right hand of Elohim. So he's taking the time that they're biting him and dragging him to now tell them that he's now seeing it. I'm seeing this right now. Then they cried out with a loud voice and stopped their ears. And they ran on him with one accord. They dragged him out. They stoned him. And like what Will said at the very end, he's calling upon and saying, Master, Yahusha, take my spirit. And he kneeled down. So now they're stoning him. He kneels down and he says, do not lay on them this sin. I'm going to say, I need to submit to his Ruach. I need more. I need more. I need to be changed. I need to give myself, I'm talking personally now. I need to give my mind, my heart. I need to give my body. I need to give everything to Yah. I cannot picture even myself doing this. I can't. And the only thing that it shows me is that I need him more. I need to give him more. I rather, like looking at Stephen, there's no way I can exalt myself. Because of what? This man dies and then pleads on their behalf. What do I want honor for? Leading the study every week? Knowing a few scriptures by memory? Like, come on, man. Like, I need more. I need more. I need to give him more. I need to pray more. I need to read more. I need to submit more. I need to live more. I need to speak more. I need to think on him more. I need to meditate more. I need to pray. And I can't look at these things and it be so easy to just turn to the next chapter. Like, you know, this is real to me.
Yeah, no, man. I feel you, man.
I
It's really definitely difficult, you know, when you see, I mean, especially everything we just read in this chapter. That was like, to me, that was like pleading as well. You know, when he's telling them from the beginning of chapter 7, he's telling them, people who are, you know, I don't know, what were they, Pharisees but learned men, let's just say they were all learned men in the scriptures. They knew the scriptures. They knew it from, you know, right up to everything, you know what I'm saying? And it was like a plea though. It was like him like, look here, look what, and what's going on? You guys ain't seeing. And even after all that, and like you said, you know, the verse where in 54, they felt that conviction, and it was just like they were so overwhelmed with a possession of evil in them that they couldn't even change. You know, they couldn't even change, and we see that in the streets today. You see a lot of people, they proclaim the gospel in different ways, and we might not agree always in the way they do it, but they get the same kind of thing today, and we could do the same thing just by saying to somebody something that's not even very harsh like this, and they'll do this to us. But man, I mean, it's a very overwhelming sight or vision to see this brother here, you know what I'm saying, go through. And then stoning. When you think about stoning, it's not something that's like you know, oh, it's just boom, one and done. You know what I'm saying? But he's so filled with the ruach, you know, that he still goes in. And like you said, you know, he's still in the last verse, you know, he's like, lay not this sin to their charge. And that's something, like you said right now, you got to really be, it's being about it, you know, being a real doer of the word, and
Right.
not just you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, man. I can't. You see what I'm saying? Like these dudes is gonna resurrect. Like these dudes are gonna, like, the Messiah is coming back to raise Stephen from the dead. He's gonna say, "Well done, my good and faithful servant." Like, what am I doing that I could stand next to Stephen? You see what I'm saying? Like, what am I doing that I could stand next to Moses, stand next to these people? I'm gonna live my life and just I'm gonna take my family on trips and then die and then stand next to Stephen?
Right.
Well,
Nah, this world is done. I'm done with this world. Like, I'm done. I'm done with this. Every time I see these things, it motivates me to, I need to get my house in order. The order is, I need to be pointing them to Yah every chance I get. My children, my wife, myself, every chance I get. I'm done with trying to be spotted out here in this world.
Right.
Yeah, that's a major important part right there. That, you know, I understand where you're coming from, Gadio, when it comes to that, because you're not alone, brother. You know, we're scattered all over the place, but I struggle with the same things every day, and I know brother JP and all the other, and Brian and all the other brothers. You know, you cannot not feel this way if you are on this walk the way he needs us. It's impossible to see these things, feel this way. And, you know, even with my kids, just to get a little personal here, I cannot stand their music. You know, and they cannot stand that I can't stand their music. I got teenagers. So it's things are a little not very happy at home because I'm trying to do those things. I'm trying to walk by the Ruach. I'm trying to be an example as the leader, as the father of the household. But it just seems like, you know, these kids, they come home from school colluded with these things that we're describing. And sometimes I feel like it's a losing battle. I really do. But then I go to verses where, you know, that say you and your house will be saved. So they're children. So, you know, my prayers right now, I'm trying to raise these kids, man. And my wife is definitely on board. She understands what's going on here, you know, the transformation in our household. She sees where I'm at with my walk. So, you know, she appreciates that and she's learning things. But the struggle is with children. That's who I'm concerned about at this point, my kids. And you know, when you describe things of the world and we got to do more and more and more and more. It's like, you know, I'm only speaking for myself at this point. I'm striving for that. I strive for that every day, man. I'm constantly like up on scriptures when I'm driving that truck, man. Everything is scriptures. As a musician, this might be strange to y'all. I don't even listen to music, bro. I do not listen to music. Everything is scriptures, man. 300 and something miles of scripture related stuff, man. Because I want to do more, as you put it. That's my way of trying to do more. I want to learn. Just this morning, it's funny that you bring this up. I'm talking to Yahuah. I'm saying, Father, I need you to open up my mind. I want more. I want more knowledge of what it is you need me to have. Those are my prayers every day, man. I'm hungry for more. I just want more. I want to be able to direct, first of all, my household. And I don't want to stumble. I don't want to be a stumbling block. So, man, I can appreciate that anxiousness. I think it's a positive anxiousness, because when that starts to die down, we start to get complacent, and then you start to face the lukewarm direction. I don't want to fall into that. So, you said something, Jadiel. I honestly, brother, I love you, but I don't think we need to compare ourselves to the patriarchs of Scripture. You know, he had something for them to do, just like he's got something for us to do in this world. So to match up to them, I think it will be a little unfair to prick at his plan in our lives and go in that direction. You know what I'm saying?
I mean, I hear what you're saying, but we're told to match ourselves up with Messiah.
Yes.
Like, if anything would be unfair, it would be that command. But that command is logical. Why? Because the same Ruach that was in Stephen is the same Ruach that was in Messiah. Same Ruach that was in Messiah is the same Ruach that's in me. The only thing that's changed is what am I doing to hinder verse 55 from being in me? Being full of the Ruach. What's hindering me from being full of the Ruach? I need to acknowledge that. You know, so when I compare myself, it's acknowledging I'm hindering what these brothers did not hinder. You know, it may look different, like what you said. It may look different when I'm full of it, when I'm full of his Ruach. He may move me to demonstrate it. He may move me to demonstrate it in a different way than Stephen. But I know that I'm not full. And I know that it's not because of Yah.
Right.
So when I'm looking at myself and I'm looking at my children, I mean, other people could look at my children, they could commend, you know, they could look at my house and say, oh, you know, yeah, everybody is following. But like what you said, Will, you was like, when that anxiousness dies down, you have the complacency now. And when complacency hits, you get the slothfulness. And when you have the slothfulness, you get the lowering the standards that I already showed I can raise. You see what I'm saying? I know me. I know what his ruach can allow me to head towards. And sometimes I let everything around me, you know, me being open too, I'm gonna be open, of course. Every time I talk is because I'm talking about my own experience. Everything that I allowed to distract me from giving myself more is going to only be my fault. It's only my hindrance. I'm looking at this point at the end of his life, him being full of the Ruach. But imagine, what about before this? He was full of the Ruach before this. So imagine all the things that he was able to accomplish in Yah. You see what I'm saying? I can't say what these guys saying, and I should be able to. I can't say I'm full. I can't say I fought the good fight. I can't say, like Paul, I ran the race and I'm ready. I can't say that. But I can say I can do more. I can give more. Because I've seen what I've been giving it to. You know what I mean? Sitting here YouTube, it don't matter if I'm going through Bible YouTube video. Why am I on watching Bible video after Bible video for 4 hours and I didn't open my own Bible? I'm talking to myself.
Yeah.
This is what I've been doing last week. I'm listening to Bible. No, I'm not listening to Bible because the Ruach is supposed to teach me. I'm supposed to be changing every day. I'm supposed to be beholding him. I'm supposed to be beholding his glory, not beholding what other dudes are saying. That's not going to help me. What Yah is saying is going to help me. What I understand I need to do is going to help me. My submissiveness, my subjection to his word, that's going to help me. Not how many YouTube videos I watch. Not how many times I tell somebody about the scriptures. That's not my relationship with Yah is not my relationship with somebody else. My relationship with Yah is me and him. How much am I loving him with all of my heart, all of my soul, all of my strength, all of my might? And can I call it all? The energy I'm putting in, can I say it's all of it? My mind, the mind that I'm putting in, can I say it's all of it? My heart, the heart that I'm putting in, can I say is all of it? This is what he's asking me to do. This is what he's asking all of us to do. But I can only answer for myself. Am I loving him with all of my heart, my soul, my might? How about I ask myself this question? Am I loving my brothers as myself?
Right.
Am I doing it the way he wants me to do it? Or am I doing it in a way that I know everybody is going to say it's okay, he's doing a good job? It's not me wanting everybody to say he's doing a good job, he's doing a lot. It's me wanting Yah to say, well done, good and faithful servant.
Yeah.
That is the ultimate goal for sure. I understand.
And I don't even know why we recording all of this. But this is the conclusion of Acts chapter 7.